It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Marks and Spencer's, and it's a new beer by Vocation Brewery, or a collaboration between Marks and Spencer's and Vocation. And this is their Black Forest Stout. It's 6.5% ABV in a 440 milliliter can. Vocation makes some of the greatest stouts and IPAs, of course, for the supermarkets. They kind of like, it's almost as if Vocation have specialised their brand and their brewing process and everything they're about in producing good quality supermarket craft beer at a decent price. Now, I say decent price, I paid £3.50 for the can, but if I was to go to a bottle shop, please, of course, support your local bottle shops. But if I went somewhere online, local bottle shop, and I wanted to buy a Black Forest Stout, described with cherry and chocolate, at 6.5% ABV, I'd probably be paying £5 plus for the can. So the benefit of the supermarket is, and I say this with massive trepidation, because of course if the supermarkets close the kind of noose a little bit on bottle shops, then of course the bottle shops close down, the supermarkets have the market, the supermarket then raise their prices. So there is trepidation, but for the moment, a £3.50 Black Forest Stout in Marks and Spencer's is good value for money for me. Well, it's got to taste good first, so let's get it out into a glass and see what we get. Nice bit of smoke on the can opening. I'm expecting something big, fat and bold and creamy. I hope so anyway. I really hope so, because I've had stouts with dark fruits in before, like cherries and plums and figs, and they've been really thin. And there's nothing worse than a thin stout with cherry flavours and blackcurrant flavours, because it's all a bit like, ugh. But it looks like I don't even have to talk about a thin stout anymore, because I mean, look at that. Look at that, thick, rich and creamy. Ho ho ho! That looks very good. Very, very good. I mean, if you're thinking Christmas time, if you've got your favourite uncle coming over at Christmas time, and you want to impress your favourite uncle who's got many classic cars and, you know, a nice big massive house in the country, and you go and see him and he's like, hello, coming in, and you know, he impresses you with his big barbecue. If you want to impress that person back, invite him to your small terraced house in a slightly rundown area and offer him a can of M&S Black Forest Stout, because just by the pour alone, this should be an impressive beer. Look at the body. Look at the body on that beer. Look at the head retention. Look at the carbonation rolling up the side of the glass. It's jet black in the glass. There's no light bleeding through that beer whatsoever. Look at the little bits of sediment in the bottom of the glass. It's a can conditioned beer. Tan coloured head. Let's get the aroma. Oh my goodness me. Wow. Wow, what a beer. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little bit nervous. Just a slight bit nervous going into this beer review, because when I read Black Forest Stout, I was thinking, oh no, this could be a mess. This could be one giant mess of a beer. But thankfully, there's lots of roasted malt. Lots of roasted malt coming through on the aroma. And you need lots of roasted malt to carry that kind of black cherry and chocolate flavour. It smells delicious. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Whoa. 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 It's very rich. It's very sweet. It's very rich. On a personal level, if I had it my way, almost singing a song in my head then, sorry. If I had it my way, I would brew the beer with a lot more bitterness to counteract that sweetness. It's very kind of leaning towards being a very sweet beer, and it just seems to be the way. It seems to be the way at the moment, is to produce these really sweet beers. I was praying for the aroma was screaming balance. It was screaming roasted malt. And I was thinking, yeah, there's going to be some roasted malt in it to counteract the cherry and that Black Forest kind of sickly sweetness. Thank you. Thank you. Neighbours, you give me a heart attack. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. You get loads of cherry. Loads and loads of cherry. And then loads of sweetness. It looked full-bodied. There is a nice amount of body in the beer. There's a nice creaminess. There's a kind of nice richness there. But it needs a little bit more body, and a little bit more roasted malt to come through. This, I'm going to call it. There's two types of drinkers at the moment. In the craft beer scene, there's two types of drinkers. You've got people like me in their 40s, unfortunately, already in my 40s. People in my 40s that remember beer being bitter, remember beer tasting like beer, and understanding it and learning to taste it, because I'm not going to lie, when I first tasted beer, I wasn't the greatest fan of beer, but you kind of tolerated beer as a youngster, and you carried on, and you carried on, and you carried on until you learned to like it. But it's almost as if these breweries have found a shortcut. They found a shortcut to, like, you don't have to learn to like the bitterness in beer anymore. It's almost as if they've gone, right, what we'll do, we'll kind of knock the bitterness out. A bit like Brussels sprouts. I read a story about a year or two ago where they're trying to change the genes in... They're trying to change the genetics in a Brussels sprout so they don't taste bitter anymore. What's the fun of that? I love Brussels sprouts. I love that raw bitterness of Brussels sprouts. In fact, I would prefer to taste the raw bitterness of a Brussels sprout than something over sweet and sickly. But unfortunately, the second type of drinker, so you got two types of drinkers. Me, who's learned to enjoy bitterness and enjoy beer, and then you've got this kind of second generation, this younger generation of beer who thinks that beer should be sweet and beer should be cloyny and beer should taste like this. And for me, this is not the answer. This is not the answer. If you want to taste a sweet, cloyny, alco-poppy, alcoholic beverage, then buy a Bacardi Breezer or buy a WKD Blue or whatever the blooming things are called, or some of these alcoholic energy drinks. If you want to drink that stuff, drink that stuff. There's plenty out there. There's plenty out there. But my message to Vocation is, please, and all the other breweries, not just Vocation, but the other breweries out there, please stop bleeding sweet beers into these young people's minds, and like ruining it for the older generation who may want a little bit of bitterness in their beer. Stop. Like, it's almost like a hack, hacking the younger mind to think that beer should taste sweet when it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. This shouldn't be as sweet as it is. It's a very, very, very low 4 out of 10 for me. 4 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers!